If you are trying to figure out how to choose the right website template for your business, I am so excited for you. First of all, website templates are a fantastic way of saving money while still launching a website that looks custom, has everything you need it to, and it's a really good way to empower yourself to learn more about how your website works since you're the one actually doing the customizing. But even though there are a ton of super sexy website template options out there, no one ever talks about how to choose one that not only looks good, but also is going to function well in your business. So, of course, that's what we're doing today. If you're new here, hi, I'm Amy. I'm a website copywriter. I write websites that sell your offer without ever being salesy. And we're talking about website templates today because not only are they such a good option for starting your website, growing your business online, but I used to be a website designer and I used to design website templates. So I am here to prevent you from making the mistakes I see people making all the time when it comes to choosing a website template, making sure you pick the right one for you and it has literally everything you need. So the first thing we're actually going to talk about is what platform to choose for the website template you buy. And we're going to keep this quick because I have found that usually when people are ready to buy a template, they already know what platform they want. But if you want your website to be move and ready, you're probably looking for a Showit website template or a Squarespace website template. Both of these platforms are super user-friendly, so you're going to have an okay time customizing it, and they both really commonly set their designers up to be able to share templates really well, so you're going to have a ton of options to choose from, and the process of actually doing it is likely going to be smooth too. If you need help deciding between Showit and Squarespace, I have a blog post that I'll link right here so you can go skim through and figure out which one makes the most sense for your business. Okay, so now we're gonna actually get into how to choose a website template, and the things I'm starting with are the major deal breakers. If your template doesn't pass these tests, you're not buying that template. Plain as that. These are the absolute minimum things you need to check for with your template to make sure that your website's going to function the way you want and that it's going to be readable to Google so that eventually you can start ranking on Google. Okay, so the first thing you're going to check for is the page list. Whenever you're looking at a template shop, they should have some kind of listing for each template, and it should list out all of the pages that you'll get with that template. So the first thing I want you to do is take a quick skim through and make sure all the pages you need are right there. The things that I'm usually looking for are at least a home about services contact page, some kind of error or 404 page, room for your legal and privacy policies, and because it's more of a pain to add a blog later, if you at all think that you're going to blog for your business even one day, I personally would just go ahead and pick a website template that already has blog pages designed into it. So usually what I look for is at least blog feed, which is like where all the posts are listed, and a blog post, which is where the content auto-populates. So one other note I have about page count is that just because a page says it's for something doesn't mean you have to use it for that thing. If you go in and you're like, oh, the services page would actually make a ton of sense for this like off-label offer I have, or even a freebie I want to create a longer page for so it can rank on Google a little bit better. You can get creative in how you use pages. I just want there to be enough different designs that you're getting for you to actually be able to do that. Okay, let's talk about headings. This is the most important thing to check on a template. If it already has the pages that you want, you're good to go. You're going to move on to this check and you're going to lock in, because if your template doesn't have this in place, you're not buying that template. I'm going to teach you really quickly a 5-second little test you can do on each page, or even just a couple of the main pages, to make sure your website is readable to Google. And that is to make sure that the headings are set up correctly. So to use this trick, all you need to do is install the Headings Map Chrome extension and then head over to the demo or like the live site preview, whatever it is for that template. Here I'm using the Casey template by Elizabeth McCravey because I know this is a good example of how this is done, but all you're gonna do is go to the live demo, come up here and click Headings Map, and then you can see here how beautifully organized this layout of the template is. So you can see right here, the first thing we're looking for, remember, is one heading one. So you can see right up top, I'm gonna highlight it, there is one heading one on this page, which means Google will know exactly where the most important words on the page are. The next thing I'm looking for is the rest of these headings. Look at all of these. Look how beautifully organized these headings are. You can see here that all of the heading 3s are tucked really neatly into like a heading 2. Everything's super organized and it looks like it makes sense is truly the best way that I can describe this. If you look at a template and it's a hot mess, Google is going to agree. And I'm going to show you now a bad example of how not to do this. Don't worry, I'm not dragging anyone on camera. This is a website template that I was considering selling back in my template days, and I purposely went through and effed up the headings so that you can see what I'm talking about. So here is the template. Everything looks really great, looks really beautiful, but when I click on headings map, which I'm going to do right here, you can see that not only are there more than one heading 1 lines on here, there's 4. There's 4 heading 1s on here. And you can see here that everything is out of order. So you can see there's like a heading 3 before heading 2 in this section. You can see that everything is all over the place. There's a million heading 1s. It starts with a heading 3. All of that stuff, again, if it looks like a mess, Google's gonna agree. So what you're looking for is just a generally organized outline. It does not have to be perfect, but deal breakers, 1 heading 1, and a complete tornado of a headings map. This is super annoying to fix, and it takes a pretty high level of tech savvy to understand how to fix it. So that's why I want you to just run this quick little check, make sure that the outline is good so that you don't have to worry about this. Okay, and then the next deal breaker is how much room there is for copy or the writing on your website on each page of the template. And this is one of the things where if you're really comfortable with customizing your template, if you like working on your website, you can always move sections around and duplicate them to give yourself more room to write. But you're buying a template to save yourself work, so I would go ahead and screen the pages for this. Obviously, you're going to replace the filler text on your website with your actual writing and copy, but since designers usually use filler text to design their templates, I like using this quick little trick to see if there's room for at least 500 to 700 words of copy on your main pages, if not a little bit more, like 700 to 1,000 words. The fastest trick I have for checking the number of words on a template filler page, again, remembering that like the word count's gonna vary if the filler text is really short with a lot of short words, but I usually just copy paste the preview URL into ChatGPT and ask it how many words are on the page. There are Chrome extensions you can install on your browser and use to do this, but you have to like highlight the whole page to do that. And sometimes the way the template's set up makes it kind of hard to highlight all of it. So I like using the ChatGPT hack, but what you're looking for is room for like 500 to 700 words minimum on the page, if not closer to 700 to 1,000. It's a lot easier to remove sections later on, but there is a very specific order and flow to pages on a website, and I want you to be able to have room to use the copy to the fullest so you actually book clients from your website. If you want to know what else I usually look for in terms of what's on the page, I have a page-by-page, section-by-section guide in the blog post that goes with this video that I'll link in the description. You can go check it out for the main pages on your website. Okay, and I am going to do a special little shout out for gallery and portfolio pages. If you are a photographer, a wedding planner, anyone who has a visual job, you need to make sure that there is room for actual copywriting on your portfolio and your gallery pages so you can talk about the projects, the events, whatever it is that you're writing about. You want room to talk about it. A lot of times I see portfolio pages that are just pages on pages, image on image of these beautiful events, and I love them so much. They're so pretty to browse through, but pictures aren't going to help that page rank on Google, and pictures fade into the background when you are someone looking for maybe a wedding planner, a photographer. Everyone has nice pictures on their website. So having room to write a little bit about the experience of working with that couple or that project and all the things you put into it, that is going to make sure you actually not only stand out, but you keep your audience more interested and actually reading about you so that they come book with you. Okay, so those are the deal breakers for the function of your website template. Let's get into the sexy stuff, which is the design. If your template already passed the function test I just laid out, it's time to see whether or not the design itself is going to work for the content you want to put on your website. And here is how you're going to do it. The first thing you're going to check is the photos and galleries. If you have a super visual business, service, whatever you do, if you're a photographer, a designer, an event planner, your website template needs to prioritize having high quality image display, but you also don't want to forget to add room for text and copy throughout the page. So I'm usually looking for full width image sections that really let your work shine and stand out on the page. I'm looking for portfolio pages that have room for images and copy like we just talked about. And I want there to be multiple layout options with grids, slideshows, carousels, whatever it is, so you can kind of mix up how you're presenting images to your audience and keep them interested. If your business is a little bit more copy heavy rather than visuals heavy, so like social media managers, marketers, business coaches, anything like that, too many oversized image sections can actually work against you, because if there's image on image on image and there's no breathing room for text, your messaging is going to get lost, and that's what you need to really sell your services. So for those businesses, I want you to look for, one, a balance between images and text sections. I want you to have a little bit more space for clear, readable copy without forcing you to like cram a bunch of text into tiny sections. And I also want you to see if there's any like icons or small photos or visual elements that are being used to break up the text without overwhelming your page. Another thing I want you to look for is how large the fonts on the template are, because obviously you can absolutely change out the fonts in your template, and I actually recommend that you do change out at least like the main heading font so that your template's not a copy paste of the original, but I want you to try your hardest to picture your own fonts on the page or look past the placeholder fonts and see if the body copy specifically in place is big enough to be readable. Because even if you change out that font later, it's so easy to change the font itself. It is a giant pain to size up like majorly or majorly sized down fonts later on. You're going to end up like resizing text boxes, moving sections around. So make sure that all the placeholder fonts are big enough to read and they're like about the size that you want to use them at, so that when you're doing edits later and switching out the font, everything's going to stay roughly the same size and scale. Otherwise, it's going to be super annoying to change. You totally can change it, but again, super annoying. Another thing to think about is the motion and the animation on the website. If there's like a video placeholder or something like that in place, that's super easy to replace with an image if you want to. But when it comes to like transitions as to how items are entering the page, if there's anything like flashing or moving, if you're looking through and that's super distracting and you don't like it, just know that it's going to take you a little bit of time and work to turn all of that stuff off. It's really easy to do. It just takes like 1 or 2 clicks, but you are going to spend a little bit more time customizing it. So if you really want to save time, you might just want to start with a website template with no animations or transitions, or ones that you're comfortable just straight up using. Okay, and then the last thing I want to tell you about is stuff you can look past, or should try to look past, when you're choosing a website template. So the first thing is that you don't have to buy a website template solely based on the fact that the filler text or the template itself is marketed towards whatever your job is. So many website templates are created around some kind of fake persona to help you envision your brand on a website, which is so helpful in actually thinking about how you would use it, picturing your own images and copy there. So the template will say something like, this template is perfect for coaches, or it's a show it template for photographers. But as long as you're using the tests we just talked about to make sure the template has what you need, it literally doesn't matter what the template is for. You can make it work. One of my favorite examples of this is Elizabeth McCravy's template shop. She has a full customer showcase where you can literally see wedding planners using health coach templates, SEO experts using copywriter templates. I will link that gallery in the blog post with this video so that you can go browse it. But if you want to see what I mean about really like making a website your own, there are hundreds of examples in that gallery. And then the last thing that you can try to look past when it comes to your website template is the fonts, colors, design elements themselves. So when I posted that I was going to create this video, my friend Sarah Burke commented and said, I don't have a question, but you need to make sure people know that they can look at websites in grayscale to look past the brand colors. So thank you, Sarah, for sending me down a Google rabbit hole of how to do this. Now I'm going to teach you. So the only thing I really had to do was install a Chrome plugin that I will link in the description of this video and the blog post that goes with this video, but it is just called Grayscale the Web. It's right here. Once it's installed on your Chrome, all you're gonna do is toggle it on for this tab, and then it should just go ahead and change the website to grayscale, but you might have to refresh the page. And as you're scrolling through, you can see here that this makes it so easy to actually see whether or not you like the layout of this website and all the sections that are on here before you add your own brand colors and customize it. So you can totally keep all of the colors and fonts that are on a website template, but again, I usually recommend changing out at least a couple of things so that it doesn't look like an exact copy paste of the template you started with, so that your website actually is your website. All of those things are super easily swapped out, and most templates are going to come with tutorials to help you make changes like that quickly without getting a headache. So that is my quick and dirty guide to picking the right website template for you. If you want more help choosing a website template, or you want to see my favorite website templates that I am currently stocking and have pre-approved using all of these tests, you can head to the link in the description box. It will send you to the blog post with the links to all of the templates plus discount codes, so you can spend a little bit less on your website. Thank you so much for hanging around. Don't forget to like this video if it was helpful for you, and subscribe to my channel for more website and copywriting tips to help you sell your stuff without being salesy.